ever since colonial borders changed the face of Africa. Powerful kingdoms have risen along the savanna, uniting through trade, culture, and war. One of these kingdoms was the influential Hausa city-state of Zazzau, a place where merchants, warriors, and royalty lived side by side. But Zazzau would not simply have another ruler in its lineage. There emerged a legendary figure. Her name was Amina. Amina was a woman in a world where men ruled the daytime. She didn't just rule, rather, she commanded and inspired. She led armies through remote lands, planned campaigns across unknown territories, and constructed defenses that would stand the test of time. Word of her heroic deeds spread for miles through markets, across deserts, and even into neighboring kingdoms. Some described her as a conqueror, while others described her as a protector. However, all agreed on one thing: Queen Amina had a profound impact on Zazzau's destiny. Her existence wasn't about living a luxurious life in a palace. Instead, she was crafted in the battlefield, in meetings for strategy, and in decisions that would create a lasting empire. Today, after many centuries, her name resonates in the northern region of Nigeria, in ancient tales and in the strong sense of belonging she gave to her people. This isn't just the story of a queen, but it's a tale about leadership, ambition, warfare, and all that follows. This is the story of Queen Amina. Amina was born into royalty in the powerful Hausa kingdom of Zazzau, located in what is now northern Nigeria. Her family was no ordinary one. Power ran through her bloodline. Her grandfather had expanded the kingdom through trade and diplomacy, while her mother ruled with authority and political wisdom. From the moment she could walk, Amina was surrounded by the symbols of leadership: court meetings, visiting merchants, military processions, and royal rituals. Yet, unlike many royal children, she showed little interest in palace luxury. She was not fascinated by jewels or court fashion. Instead, she watched the soldiers. She studied their movements, their discipline, and the respect they commanded. As she grew older, it became clear that Amina possessed a sharp and observant mind, while other princesses learned diplomacy and etiquette. She asked questions about trade routes, cavalry formations, and the defenses of neighboring kingdoms. She trained in horse riding, an essential skill for warriors of the savannah. She practiced spear handling and learned how armies moved across open land. The palace instructors may have expected her curiosity to fade with age. It never did. By her teenage years, Amina had already developed a reputation inside the palace. She was disciplined, she was bold, and she possessed an unusual determination that set her apart from others in the royal household. Her mother recognized this early. Instead of suppressing her interests, she allowed Amina to observe military councils and understand the political realities of leadership. Through these experiences, Amina learned a crucial truth: a kingdom is not maintained by wealth alone. It survives through strength, alliances, and the loyalty of its people. The young princess listened carefully, absorbing every lesson. Though no one yet knew it, she was preparing for a future that would demand more courage than any ruler before her. In the years to come, the quiet girl who studied, soldiers from palace walls would step onto battlefields herself, And when that moment arrived, Zazzau would never be the same again. When Amina reached adulthood, leadership of Zazzau did not immediately fall to her. Instead, the throne passed to her brother, who became king after their mother's reign. In many royal families, this might have ended Amina's path to influence. But Amina did not disappear into palace life. She chose a different role, one that would shape her destiny. She entered the military. Rather than ruling from a throne, Amina began leading from horseback. She joined military expeditions beyond Zazzau's borders, riding alongside seasoned warriors and commanders. These campaigns were not symbolic appearances. She studied terrain, observed tactics, and learned how alliances and intimidation could both expand a kingdom's reach. With each expedition, her confidence grew. Soldiers began to respect her not because she was royal, but because she understood warfare. She trained harder than most commanders, rode longer distances, and listened carefully to veteran fighters who had spent decades in battle. Over time, Amina developed her own strategic thinking. She recognized that trade routes were just as valuable as land. She understood that controlling movement between regions could bring wealth, power, and security. Then came the turning point. After years of her brother's rule, the throne of Zazzau eventually stood without a strong successor. By this time, Amina was no longer simply a princess. She was already a proven commander. The army knew her. The nobles respected her. The people had heard stories of her leadership. When the time came to choose a ruler, the decision was no longer difficult. Amina ascended the throne not just by birthright, but by reputation. And once crowned, she did not rule from behind palace walls. She prepared to do what she had trained for her entire life. She prepared to expand Zazzau. Once the kingdom of Zazzau had crowned Queen Amina, she didn't settle into her royal duties. Instead, she made a move to boost the army that had already shown her trust. She gave a new reorganization to the cavalry and improved supply routes. That made the kingdom stronger for long-distance campaigns. Amina was noticing a lot of rulers didn't grasp the significance of preparing for one's power. She aimed for an army that not only moved quickly but also made impacts when it came to striking and holding territory. Unfortunately, Zazzau's kingdom was not focused on defense anymore. The battles began swiftly and with calculated moves. Queen Amina never played recklessly. She targeted important towns, trade routes, and regions around Zazzau to make their influence stronger. Amina's armies swiftly moved across grasslands, securing trade routes traveling between the north and their forest locations further south. Each battle gained territory and economic power, and with every win, her reputation rose even more, in contrast to many rulers who command from afar. Queen Amina shared the battlefield with her soldiers. She was always visible, giving orders and directing formations. This kind of visibility significantly revitalized morale among her warriors. They fought harder when Amina was present, experiencing the same dangers alongside her. To her, she was not just a royal, but a leader fueled by courage. She used diplomacy when it mattered, tapping into regions that embraced trade alliances with protection over conflict. In some places, She even managed to secure peace by negotiation. By balancing strength and diplomacy, she expanded her influence beyond her original borders. One of the main accomplishments of Amina was controlling trade routes. By securing key paths, Zazzau became an important route between different parts of the region. Caravans coming from different regions carrying salt, leather, cloth, and other goods moved through lands protected by her forces. Trade brought wealth to the kingdom. Stronger cities gave rise to a lasting legacy. Queen Amina's achievements weren't just in the battles or with her weapons. She secured her influence with diplomacy, creating trade alliances and securing protection. In places where rival states respected her, her influence remained solid. Many historians recognize that her leadership shaped the political landscape of the region. Over time, even rival states recognized the importance of her. Her name became connected with strength, strategy, and vision. Despite the end of her campaigns, stories about her remained relevant. Her legacy remained more than just territory or weaponry. She became a symbol of strength, strategy, and vision for many generations to come. When the years of expansion slowed, Amina's achievements were already deeply rooted in the kingdom she ruled. She had strengthened the army, expanded territory, and secured trade routes that would benefit Zazzau long after her reign. Markets flourished under her rule. Merchants traveled with greater confidence, knowing roads were protected. The wealth generated from trade improved, infrastructure and strengthened the influence of the state. Beyond military success, Amina's reign carried another powerful meaning. She stood as proof that leadership was not defined by gender, but by ability. Long after her lifetime, stories of her campaigns spread through oral tradition. Griots, elders, and storytellers preserved her name across generations. Some fortifications attributed to her era would continue to shape settlements for generations. Even where the structures faded, the memory of their builder remained. For many, Amina's story became more than history. It became identity, a reminder of what leadership, courage, and ambition could achieve. Today, historians continue to study her reign, seeking to understand how one ruler reshaped a kingdom through strategy and determination. Whether remembered as conqueror, protector, or pioneer, her place in African history is firmly secured. The story of Queen Amina reminds us that Africa's past is filled with heroes whose legacies still shape today. And this is only one story. Many more are waiting to be told. Subscribe, and let's discover them together.